Long ago, in the heart of the vast Congo rainforest, where the canopy of ancient trees formed a living roof that whispered secrets to the wind, and the air hung heavy with the earthy scent of damp soil and blooming orchids, there lived a tyrannical chief named Mwindo. His village nestled along the banks of a winding river, its waters murmuring like distant thunder, carrying the cool mist that clung to the skin like morning dew. The Nyanga people, with their skin glistening under the dappled sunlight filtering through leaves as broad as shields, toiled under his rule. Mwindo's voice boomed like the roar of a waterfall, demanding endless tributes of yams, woven baskets filled with ripe mangoes whose juice-stained fingers sticky and sweet, and shimmering fish pulled from the river's depths, their scales flashing silver in the light. But beneath his iron grip lurked a deep fear, born from the words of the old spider diviner. This elder, with wrinkled skin like cracked bark and eyes that gleamed like fireflies in the twilight, had spun her web of prophecy under a full moon. The air that night was thick with the chirping of crickets and the distant hoot of owls, the scent of wood smoke curling from village fires. "A son will be born," she intoned, her voice crackling like dry leaves underfoot, "one who walks in both shadow and light. He will eclipse his father, and pride will shatter like a clay pot dashed against stone." Mwindo dismissed it at first with a laugh that echoed through the huts, shaking the thatched roofs where geckos scurried in alarm. Yet as his beloved wife, Mwindo, swelled with child, her belly round like a harvest gourd, dread coiled in his gut like a sleeping python. The village buzzed with anticipation, the women pounding cassava and mortars with rhythmic thuds that vibrated through the ground, releasing the starchy aroma that mixed with the tang of fermenting palm wine. Mwindo paced his grand hut, its walls adorned with leopard pelts soft to the touch and spears honed to razor sharpness, their iron tips cold and unforgiving. "If it is a boy," he decreed, his breath hot with fury, "he must perish lest he steal my throne." The day of birth arrived amid a storm that rattled the forest. Thunder growled like an angry beast, and rain pelted the leaves with a relentless patter, turning paths to slick mud that squelched under bare feet. Inside the birthing hut, illuminated by flickering oil lamps whose flames danced shadows on the woven mats, Mwindo labored. The air was thick with the metallic tang of sweat and blood, mingled with the soothing herbal smoke from burning leaves meant to ward off evil spirits. When the child emerged, he did not cry but laughed, a clear bell-like sound that cut through the storm like sunlight piercing clouds. In his tiny fist, he clutched a Congo scepter, not of wood or bone, but woven from pure shadow, cool and ethereal to the touch, shifting like smoke in the lamplight. The midwives gasped, their calloused hands trembling as they wrapped the babe in soft banana leaves that rustled gently. His eyes, dark as the midnight river, sparkled with an otherworldly light. Mwindo burst in, his massive frame filling the doorway, the scent of his oiled skin, musky and sharp, overpowering the room. Upon seeing the boy, his face twisted in rage, veins bulging like river vines. "Throw him into the river," he bellowed, his voice shaking the hut's frame. The midwives obeyed, bundling the infant and casting him into the swirling waters, where crocodiles lurked with eyes like glowing embers and scales rough as ancient bark. Yet the forest spirits intervened. The river, usually roaring and frothy with whitecaps that sprayed cool mist, cradled the bundle gently. Fish with scales iridescent as rainbows formed a protective school, their fins brushing the leaves with soft whispers. Hippos, their massive bodies slick and warm from the sun-warmed shallows, rose to create a bridge of their backs, grunting deeply as the current carried the child onward. Monkeys chattered from the vines overhead, their calls a symphony of high-pitched warnings and encouragements, swinging with agile grace to guide the path through the tangled undergrowth where thorns scratched like cat claws and the air hummed with insects. Miles downstream, in a hidden glade where sunlight dappled the ground like scattered gold coins and the scent of wild honey hung sweet and inviting, the bundle washed ashore at the feet of Mwindo's sister. She, a wise woman with braids adorned in colorful beads that clicked softly as she moved, unwrapped the child and named him Mwindo, the one who walks between worlds. From infancy, Mwindo was extraordinary. He spoke his first words before his legs could carry him, his voice melodic like a bird's song at dawn. He ran with the speed of a gazelle, his small feet padding silently over mossy earth that felt spongy and alive. As he grew, under the watchful eye of his aunt, Mwindo discovered his gifts amid the sensory wonders of the jungle. By 7 summers, when the rainy season turned the air humid and alive with the croak of frogs and the drip of water from leaves, he could command shadows. They responded to his will like faithful companions, stretching long and cool across the village clearing, where children played with sticks in the red dirt, or shrinking to hide him beneath a single broad leaf, its veins pulsing with life. The leopard, with fur soft as velvet and eyes glowing amber in the dusk, taught him stealth, how to move without rustling a twig, inhaling the musky scent of prey on the breeze. The eagle, soaring on thermals that carried the sharp tang of distant storms, showed him vision, perching on branches that creaked under its weight. The python, scales smooth and cool like river stones, imparted patience, coiling lazily in the sun-warmed grass. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon in a blaze of orange and purple, painting the sky like a weaver's cloth, and fireflies began their twinkling dance amid the sweet aroma of night-blooming flowers, Mwindo sat by a crackling fire. The flames popped and snapped, sending sparks skyward like tiny stars, warming his skin against the encroaching chill. "Who is my father?" he asked his aunt, his voice steady but laced with the bitterness of unspoken pain. She sighed, the sound like wind through palms, and recounted the tale, the cruelty, the river's mercy, while stirring a pot of bubbling stew that filled the air with savory spices and the rich scent of smoked meat. That night, under a blanket of stars that twinkled like diamonds scattered on black velvet, Mwindo stood before the moon's pale glow and vowed aloud, his words echoing softly, "I will seek my father. I will confront him. And the forest shall witness justice." At dawn, with the first light filtering golden through the mist and birdsong filling the air like a joyful chorus, Mwindo departed. He carried his shadow scepter, which hummed faintly in his grasp, and a fly whisked from the tail of a mythical thunder beast, its bristles coarse and charged with static that tingled his fingers. News of his journey spread swiftly. Birds trilled the message from treetop to treetop, their feathers rustling. Ants carried whispers along root paths, their tiny feet pattering in unison. Mwindo, in his village where the air reeked of fierce sweat and sharpening stones scraped against metal with shrill cries, heard of the approaching boy. He summoned his warriors, fierce men with muscles like knotted ropes, spears tipped in poison that burned the nostrils, and shields of rhino hide tough and leathery. The first ambush came in a narrow path flanked by mahogany giants, their bark rough and furrowed, leaves rustling overhead like 1,000 whispers. The warriors' war cries pierced the air, spears whistling as they flew. Mwindo raised his fly whisk, and shadows surged like a living fog, cool and enveloping, swallowing the weapons with a soft whoosh, letting them clatter harmlessly like rain on leaves. He faced them calmly, the scent of their sweat mingling with the forest's loam. "Return home," he urged, his voice steady amid the tension. "I seek no harm, only my father." But they charged again, feet thundering on the earth. Mwindo clapped, and shadows twisted like vines, binding them with a gentle yet unyielding grip, leaving them dangling from branches, swaying in the breeze like overripe fruit. Batch after batch met the same fate, defeated without blood, the air filled with grunts of surprise and the snap of disarmed spears. Each time, Mwindo sent them back with his message, the words hanging in the humid air. Finally, as the sun hung low, casting long golden rays that warmed the skin and turned the river to molten gold, Mwindo reached the village gates. They loomed barred and spiked, the walls alive with the glint of spears. Mwindo stood atop his platform, the wind whipping his robes with a flap, lightning crackling in his palms from packs with dark spirits, the ozone scent sharp and electric. "Intruder," he thundered, the ground trembling slightly, "you shall not pass." Mwindo, feeling the cool earth under his feet and the weight of destiny in his chest, replied, "Father, I come for recognition, not ruin." As shadows lengthened with the setting sun, the stage was set for confrontation.